All right, welcome back. Arizona Unplugged, your boy Vaughn in the house, driving, and it's early, and I'm tired. So, heading back to the homestead. That's why I'm making this video, putting it on this channel. I got so much stuff planned to do this week. Not sure how long I'm going to stay out here for. I'm just staring at the moon. I don't know if you see. Can't see it. Pretty much a very bright full moon. It is 7:23 in the morning. It is Saturday, December 12th, I want to say. No, 10th. Somewhere around the 10th. I'm not real sure. But what I am sure about is later on in the week, I'll definitely not know what day it is. I just got through Yuma, Arizona. I left my place early this morning, like 3 or 4 or something. And I've been on the road for a few hours now. Still got a few more hours to go. Heading to the off-grid homestead. Got a lot of stuff planned. What are we doing this trip? By the way, I'm flying solo. I'm by myself. However, I'm meeting some guys at the homestead. After our last trip, so we're redoing the old dilapidated cabin and hay barn that was there. Hay barn is pretty much done. It's now converted into it's not converted yet, but it's going to be the workshop. And the old cabin, we are now at the roofing stage. So we're repairing the roof, and to do that, I actually contacted a buddy of mine that happens to be owner of a construction company in Arizona, and he's sending out a bunch of his guys, a handful of guys, and I already have the material out there. Everything's ready to go. We are going to blitz this thing and get it done, I hope. Hopefully no one gets hurt. Hopefully we're productive. Hopefully it's not too cold. I know in the mornings, at nights it's below freezing. During the days it's been, high 40s, low 50s. In my opinion, low 50s is good for working because you can, layer up and kind of peel off layers as the sun comes up. But that's the plan. I got Patsy with me. Patsy hasn't been out to the homestead. Ever since I got this truck, because I didn't want her tearing up the truck, to be honest with you. When you get a new vehicle, the last thing you want is a big ass hairy dog shedding and scratching and whatnot in the back. But I have one of those painter's tarps down in the back, and it's really cool. This truck, you can lift the seats up, and then you can unfold a flat platform that takes up the whole back area of the cab here. So that's what she's sleeping on top of the painter's tarp. So Patsy's with me, so at least I got some companionship out there. Like I said, during the days the guys will be there, but at nights I'm gonna be all by my lonesome. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Should you move off grid? Are you ready to move off grid? I know I made a video about this a couple months back, but I want to get into a little bit more detail now that I have hours and hours and hours sitting here in my truck while I'm driving. So I figured, might as well make kind of a longer video. And if you guys want to participate in this discussion, please leave your comments down in the comments section. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing at some point in the near future of my life. This will probably end up being the main channel, whereas right now Backcountry Preps is my main channel. I don't foresee that thing lasting very much longer. I just got out of YouTube in jail again over there. They're always giving me strikes because apparently they don't like what I'm saying. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's Backcountry Preps here on YouTube. When they do flag me, when they do put me in YouTube jail, we have a backup. It's called Backcountry Preps, the number 2. So yeah, that's those two channels. But this channel is dedicated solely for the off-grid homestead progress and all the stuff we're going to do out there when we move out there relatively shortly now. Got to get this roof on. got to get painting done. I'm trying to make it nice for the family when we all finally quit our businesses and retire and move out there. Just seems kind of weird. A lot of people are surprised when I tell them I'm retiring soon, and I'm only 48. It's always been my goal as a youngster, young businessman, entrepreneur, to be retired at 50. And goddamn it looks like it's going to happen. So, you just got to make the right decisions early on. And I think buying this property and fixing it up was a great investment and a good thing for our future. I think that's one of the biggest keys. Are you ready to move off grid? First of all, number one, how are your finances? Because even living off grid, let's say you own your property outright, you have a home, you have all the means to be self-sustainable, be it well or rain catchment like what we have, septic tank, you have your own firewood that you can get off your own property, you're growing gardens, you have greenhouse, you have livestock, all that stuff. You're set, you're totally off the grid, and you're self-sustainable. You still, most of us, the vast majority of us, still need to have money. You need cell phone, right here. You need internet, that costs money. Starlink is not free. You need insurance, medical insurance, especially if you have a family. Sorry, some guys pulled out on the side of the road. Just make sure nobody bolts out. This is a 2-lane highway in the middle of nowhere, so you gotta be real careful. Anyways, you still need money for things. Insurance, if you have a vehicle, you gotta have maintenance. If you're still paying on your vehicle, you gotta make that. Insurance for your vehicle, gasoline, diesel, stuff you cannot make. I know at my last ranch where we were creating most of what we ate, we still could not create chocolate. We weren't creating any sort of liquor, alcohol. So there were things that we still had to purchase from the store. So at the end of the day, you still have to consider expenses. How much money do you think you're going to need? What is your situation as far as debt? That's a huge one. I don't have, other than my vehicles, I don't think we really have much of any debt. We do have credit cards. As a matter of fact, stole the wife's credit card to pay for gas, build up her credit even more. But we pay this shit off every month. We don't have huge amounts of debt, thank God. We've been paying off debt slowly over the last 5-6 years, and we're doing it. We're getting it done. So get rid of debt. If you guys are planning on living off grid, if you're planning on making that jump, you have to eliminate or at least severely minimize your debt. That's a huge aspect. Minimize your debt. Get out of debt. If you're buying a property, you may want to consider having that property paid off before quitting your job or retiring and moving off grid. And again, these are just my suggestions, guys. This is what I'm doing. This is being retired. That's kind of, once I retire, once I stop working like what I'm doing now as a contractor in San Diego, I don't want to have to go back to that. It's always there. I have the skills, I have the tools, I have the connections. I can always go back, but I don't want to. Once I retire, that's it. I want to be in the woods, drinking whiskey, maybe make some more babies. Who knows what's going to happen. But the last thing I want to do is fix toilets. I mean, come on, man. So getting financially secure is key. Definitely a key. Now, let's get more into the self-sustainable part. Are you ready to move off grid? Where we are at, we are probably about an hour and a half from the closest store where you can buy food, where you can get fuel, that type of thing. Any kind of, PVC parts or small. We don't have Home Depot. We do have a small, very small little hardware store that has very limited selection on different things. But it's there. There's a couple of restaurants. There's a bar. All this, within like an hour and a half from my homestead. So it is there. So at the end of the day, if we do need something and we're in a bind, yeah, we can do that. What our plan is to go into town, big city, at least once a month. And when I say big city, I mean like either Phoenix or Kingman or Flagstaff, or since the wife and I love to go to concerts, we may even go to Vegas. That's quite a few hours away, but still not too bad. But during those big city trips, that's the time where we're going to stock up on the things we're going to need for that month and not have to worry about getting bent over, as it were, by buying from these little stores in the closest town to us, because they have to pay more money to get their goods shipped to them because they're in the middle of nowhere, and understandably you're not going to find things in those areas cheaper than in the big cities where delivery trucks frequently go. So you got to plan out your town trips, you got to plan out that type of thing. Fuel is not cheap, not anymore. I just spent $120 and I wasn't even empty in this truck. This truck in California easily drinks $175 just to fill up in diesel. Here in Arizona, it's a little bit cheaper, thank God. But who knows how that's going to end up also. So be prepared to spend more money when you move off grid when it comes to creature comforts and spur of the moment purchases, just because of the fact it costs more to get it to you. We do not have Amazon trucks going up and down our dirt road. We don't have mail. Mail trucks don't go to our property. You gotta have a P.O. box. That's another expense. Not too bad. It's like $100 a year, $60 a year, or something like that. So not too bad, but it's a necessity. You gotta be able to get your mail, get your bills, get your insurance information. You gotta have a place that can go to where you can pick it up. So let's talk about food and water. Let's do water, because that's the easy part. Where we're at, and I get this question a lot, are you on well water? The answer is no, we are not on well water, because where we are at, if there is a well close by, that thing is over 2,000 feet deep. And if you've ever paid to have a well put in, they go typically by the foot. 2,000 foot well with all the equipment is easily 50 grand. Easily. And they're not guaranteed you they're going to hit water. You may spend 50 grand and not get a drop of water out of the ground. It's just where we're at, where my ranch is, where we're located, there's just no groundwater easily accessible. So that's out of the question. Number two, we don't have municipal water. There is no water pipes. There's no sewer pipes, there's no gas pipes, there's no power lines. There is nothing where we're at. We are literally almost 20 miles down different dirt roads to our closest paved road. So we are in the middle of nowhere, right? That's the way I like it, by the way. Anyways, so no, we're not on well water. We are not on municipal city water. We are 100% on rain catchment. Basically, it rains, it hits the roof diverts it into a gutter. That gutter goes right to a tank. That tank fills up. There's a pipe from that tank to the booster pump and filters. That pressurizes the water and goes to whatever fixtures you want. That's our rain situation, or our water situation. We survive solely on rainwater. Now, you might think, Vaughn, you're in Arizona, it never rains there. That is not true. Matter of fact, we get monsoons every year that pretty much the sky opens and just dumps water on us every year. Not including the various rainstorms we get throughout the year. So if you have a lot of catchment area, meaning roofs, and you have enough capacity, meaning large tanks, good to go. We have never, if you're in dire straits, you can haul in water. You can go to the town I was talking about, fill up your totes, your trailer, and bring them back home and use it. A lot of people do that, and that's fine. You can also have water delivered. You know, you call the guy, he has a big ass truck with a tank on it, and he brings it to your place and fills it up. Unfortunately, where we're at specifically, I personally don't think a water truck can get to our place. It's too hard for a big vehicle like that to get to where we're going. So there you go. So me personally, I'm on 100% rain catchment. To filter the water, we have a couple of different types of filters, and then the end use is a Berkey filter. That's for drinking water. All other, like showers and sinks and all that stuff, it is filtered rainwater, but not sanitized. There's really no need for that. Don't plan on drinking it out of the tank. Even though last time I was out to the ranch, to the homestead, I did do a water quality test, chemical tests on it. And even the way it is now, unfiltered, it is still 100% drinkable. There was no bacteria in it. There's no weirdness in it. It was actually quite clean for being just rainwater, straight rainwater. But I'm still not drinking it. All the drinking stuff goes through a Berkey. So that's water situation. That's easy. Now food, and all this will help you guys determine whether or not you're ready to move off grid, or whether or not you should even consider moving off grid. After this video, you may change your mind. You may say, no, it's just too much. Now food, once again, like I said, food stores are hours away and food costs money. If you're going to go off grid, most people do their best to create as much food as they can on their own, being self-sustainable, having gardens, greenhouses, root cellars, having livestock, chicken, pigs, goats, that type of thing, and be able to reproduce those things. Keep your seeds from your gardens, replant them the next year, have your livestock create offspring and rotate your livestock like that as far as your meat, and byproducts from livestock such as milk, cheese, butter, that type of thing. Learn how to do that stuff. That's another thing that you can't just do in your kitchen for the most part. If you're making yogurt or butter or cheese or something like that, you need special equipment sometimes. In most cases, sometimes you could do artisan stuff that is really rustic and basic. And so it all depends on what you want. But there's equipment needed. There's refrigeration needed. So are you set up with that? All these things. This is why it's taken me so long to get my place ready. Not taking in consideration the rebuilding of what's there so we can live in it, but also getting set up with all these extra things. All this stuff costs money, lots of money, and time and energy just to get it out to our place. It's not an easy thing. So are you ready for that? Are you ready? Are you set up for that? We still don't have gardens in, not even close. We have areas cleared off, but we don't have any raised beds. We don't have anything like that yet. Right now we're concentrating on construction, rebuilding, getting things livable. So that's where we're at with that. Now let's talk about electricity. In this day and age, some people, they just go commando, off-grid, no power, no cell phone, no internet, no nothing. That's not me. I'm not a pioneer, a guy crossing the great expanses of this great country, living off the land. No. I want electricity. I want power tools and compressors and saws. I'm a musician. I want to play my music. We like to watch movies. The family and I, we want lights. We need lights in our home, that type of thing. So what are you going to do for electricity? Most people out where I'm at are reliant on solar, with generator backup. We have a pretty stout solar system. I actually want to double the size of it by the time we move out here, but we have enough now to really get by and do quite well. I've been upgrading it slowly throughout the years, and it's been working out pretty well. Heat, cooking, that type of thing. We are reliant somewhat on propane. As a matter of fact, I've got an empty propane bottle here in the back of the truck that I'm going to fill up here in Arizona. The only thing we have on propane is our little stove in our kitchen and the water heater, which is a tankless water heater, by the way, so it's very efficient. I would like to get away from those things and get electric, but again, my system is good, but not that good. It's not set up yet for that type of demand. So as of right now, we still use propane for 2 appliances. Generators are great, but they're noisy and they take a lot of gas or diesel or propane or whatever you're running it on. So you got to take that in consideration. Should only be used as a backup, in my opinion, just for the simple fact that they're so damn noisy. Solar, in my opinion, is the way to go. I'm not a huge fan of wind turbines, just because, again, they make noise as well. And when you have moving parts like that, things will wear out and you got to repair them occasionally. And I would rather put money into more solar, just because it's much more reliable. If you have a decent sized battery backup bank, you have plenty of power at night and on cloudy days. What else is there? Let's talk about solitude. If you're a extrovert and you like being around a lot of people, you may want to reconsider your thoughts if you're thinking about moving off grid. Most people live in cities and suburbs, small towns, big towns, medium-sized towns. In places like where we're at, there is no people. No people. I mean, there's people, don't get me wrong, but the vast majority of people that do own property in my neck of the woods, they're like hunting cabins. They're there once or twice a year. So seeing people is not a common thing. You won't get knocks on your doors for the most part, I think. Most people tend to stick to themselves. Most people that move out to places like where we're going, they like their privacy, as do I. I don't mind being around cool people, but for the most part, I don't like people for the most part, because most people irritate me. Most people, they have nothing to contribute to my life, and I don't want to sound like a jerk or something, but I feel more comfortable just being with my family, my wife, my kids, my close friends, that type of thing. I'm very friendly, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a mean person if you were to meet me out in public, but as far as spending time out of my life trying to get to know new people, I don't do that very much. I do more here on YouTube than I do out in person, actually. So yeah. So solitude, are you ready to be alone a lot of the times? Or can you handle being with your significant other for extended periods of time? I mean, where we're going to live, if we're snowed in or rained in, we're stuck with each other for days or weeks at a time. And you got to make sure your relationship is strong enough to handle that sort of situation. It's really important that you're comfortable with and care about the one you're with very much, and get over things easily. Have a great ability to forget, because being around irritated people, or if someone's irritating you, that's not good. It's not a good life. So being around people that you enjoy being around is very important. Being able to entertain yourself with books or games or movies or internet. We have internet out there, Starlink. We bought the Starlink system, and it's currently at our current place that we're living, because we don't have internet service there either. But it will be moved out to this place once we move. But so far, it's working great for us. Other than that, we do have a signal booster for our cell phones, and we have internet on our cell phones, right? Data. So we have various ways to get internet. We do have cell phone service out there thanks to the WeBoost. WeBoost system. If you guys are interested in a signal booster, this has worked out very well for us. We went from 0 bars to full bars and streaming 5G once we installed this thing. It's a very easy install. If you want to buy it, I'm not pimping out anything on this channel as of right now, but if you're interested in Starlink or WeBoost, go to Tobin's channel, AZ Off Grid. He's one of my neighbors, and he actually educated me about WeBoost and Starlink, and I bought both. I actually let him try out all the stuff before I buy it. So it's good to have a buddy like that. So make sure you have people around you that you enjoy being around. Make sure you have things you can do to keep you entertained, especially when it comes to inclement weather. And if you're stuck in the house all day, so you don't go stir crazy, it's pretty important. So there's a few things you might want to consider if you're thinking about moving off grid. If you want to add anything that you think I missed, go ahead and put it down in the comments. Just various things you got to really think about moving off grid, guys. If you're retiring, if you're giving up your means of income, leaving things that you're familiar with, your friends, your family, your jobs, your town that you may have been your whole life. Before you take that big of a step, make sure this lifestyle is for you. Because the last thing you want is to get out there after giving up everything, spending your life savings in some aspects sometimes, and getting out there, and then after a few weeks or a few months, you start to feel you made a mistake, you made the wrong decision in going off grid. That would be a terrible thing to have to experience. We are taking this